What's going on, YouTube world? How you ladies and gentlemen out there doing today? Y'all already know who this is and what this is. Your folk, your partner, your cousin on your daddy's side. Mr. 63 divided by 9 times 4 divided by 2 minus 8 plus 1. And I am. But anyway, first things first. Again, if I'm not asking too much, go ahead and click that little red button in the bottom, subscribe to the channel, hit that little bell so you'll be notified whenever I drop new content. But anyway, leading off from last week's video when I was making my introduction to YouTube. As I say, I'm kind of new with this. I'm not really a vlogger or a guy who just really exposed himself in a social way, if that makes any sense. I'm really a private guy. But a good friend of mine told me, hey man, listen man, you got a lot of knowledge in a lot of areas that could be very helpful to people. So that was the purpose for me even doing this from the inception, right? And we talked about it for years. And I was like, I get to it. But then I had an epiphany. I just thought about how I go to YouTube to find information, in regards to different subjects. If it's something I'm trying to learn about or just want to know more about, how I use YouTube or either other channels or other avenues to gather information that could be beneficial or helpful to me, right? And I'm saying, you know what? This could possibly work. Due to me being the kind of guy I am, I'm a sponge, right? And the great advantage with me is that I learn in a multitude of ways. I can read it, like read instructions and put it together. I can hear you and follow instructions. Or I can visually see it without instructions being given, and I'll make the instructions in my mind myself, if that makes any sense. So I'm able to learn all kind of ways. But one thing that I did learn is that everybody don't learn the same or learn at the same rate. Follow me? So this may make sense to you guys. It may not. A teacher at some point becomes the student of the student that they're teaching. I'm going to say that again. The teacher at some point becomes the student of the student that they're teaching. Now, I know you guys say, hey, Seven, man, what does that mean? Like, is that a riddle? No, it's not. Think about this. In order for me to teach you anything, I must first become your student. Now, how is that possible? I become your student when I allow you to teach me how you learn, how you process information. What's the best way to get you information in a way that you can gravitate toward it and grasp what I'm teaching? So at that moment, you're the teacher, I'm the student, because I'm learning how to teach you. Goes back to what I just said. Sometimes the teacher becomes the student of the student that they're teaching. It should make sense by now, right? Okay, secondly, I said that we was going to build this channel based on the pretenses of just being informative, right? It's a lot of things. I'm going to simplify it a little more. I know a lot about a little and a little about everything. I know a lot about a little and just a little about everything. So what that means is I get the information that I feel is conducive to what I'm trying to do, what I'm trying to accomplish, where I'm trying to go. It's my job as a gatherer of that information to share it with the people that are looking for that same information or parts and portions of it. So if I can do that, then I facilitate things for them. You see what I'm saying? Or I can kind of mitigate situations, if you will. Now, when I first did the first video, I was saying that I was going to talk about, copyrights, LLCs, all of this stuff, and I am. And the reason that I think that it's so important is because it's so many people with great ideas. They may be stupid to other people. However, what matters is how do you feel about it? It's just like people care so much about what people think of them, but never stop to question what they think of themselves. You follow me? So I personally understand the value in acquiring all the knowledge that is out there for me to get, especially considering that we're living in a time to where every piece of information that you could possibly want to search for, have searched for, will search for, is available for you via this platform alongside a multitude of others. Whether you're a reader, whether you're a visual learner, and that's the great thing about YouTube. If you're a visual learner or a guy that can have a conversation and learn from it, this is a great place for you to be. And me personally, I refuse to gather this information and just keep it to myself as if it's not other people out there searching for the same information, in regards to whatever. So, like I said, last week we was talking about LLCs and how we're going to do that. But one thing that I think that people fail to include in when they're trying to start a brand, because it all starts as a thought. Enough willpower, it'll transition into a business. From there, it'll grow into a company. And after that, we're hoping to successfully transition to becoming a household name. Now, simply say it, harder to accomplish without that willpower, without that drive, and most importantly, without the knowledge on how to do so, what steps to take, and how they should be taken, right? So, but like I say, back to what I was saying just prior to that statement, one of the main things that I think people overlook is how important it is to get you a domain. Try to get you a .com if at all possible. You got .com, .org, .biz, .gov, a multitude of other ones. But it's very, very essential, especially if you're trying to take those steps I just said, from the thought to the business, business to the company, company to becoming a household name. These are things that needs to be considered and need to be acted upon. Get your domain name. And the reason that it's so important to get your domain name, so whenever you decide to get a site, whether you go through Wix or Shopify or any other platform that permits you to build a website or have a website built, you'll always be able to transfer that domain that you purchased from GoDaddy or wherever else you get it from. I prefer GoDaddy, and I've had a domain now for maybe 8 to 9 years. So whether I use it or not, it's mine. But I don't technically own it, because when you go that route, being honest, you're only leasing it, right? Okay, but team7company.com is mine. So if I go to Shopify and I build me a website, it's going to say team_7_company_Shopify.com. That's too much for me to give someone to say, listen, this is my site. If they don't forget the underscore, they forget the dot. Excuse me. My point being is, let me simplify things for them. Team7company.com, I now forward that domain to my Shopify store. So you don't have to go through all of those names and underscores or whatever the case may be. Just hit team7company.com and this will take you to my platform. Also, this is connectable worldwide, no matter where you are. If you hit that domain and it's forwarded to that site, you'll get there. Outside the domain, just having one and, getting your LLC and a tax ID number. And if you're into buying products wholesale, get your resale tax, tax permit, and a few other things, of course, that you need to do if, like I said, you're trying to take those 4 steps. Thought to business, business to company, company to household name, right? These are the steps that I'm taking because these are the things that I'm trying to accomplish. Now, I'm not the whiz here. I'm not trying to be that. These are the steps that I have taken already. I'm just sharing my experience. I'm just sharing what I've been exposed to, what I feel is going to be helpful to you following those 4 steps. Thought to business, business to company, company to household name. Now, other people may don't view things in that light or don't see things from that vantage point, which is perfectly fine. Keep in mind, I'm telling you my experience, my way of viewing things. This is my process. Now, you have to do things that make sense to you. If it makes sense to you, you can still get advice or information, but you still have to be able to utilize your own mind to make that conscientious decision on how you're going to approach whatever it is you're trying to approach and do whatever it is you're trying to do. Now, outside the domain, getting your LLC and a tax ID number, and getting your checking account and your company name, and getting your resale permit if that's what you choose to do, and most importantly, I feel, getting your trademark. Now, when people get LLCs, one of the main things they do is automatically assume that they're covered. You are, in the state which your LLC was formed. For example, you can form an LLC in the state of Georgia, here. Someone else can take that same business name and form it in Alabama. Different set of rules apply to different states. Just because you did it in Georgia don't mean you're covered everywhere. This is where your trademark come into play. You're federally covered, nationwide. Not worldwide, but nationwide. And I think it lasts for up to 5 years before you're expected to make any kind of modifications or any kind of adjustments or pay again to make sure your stuff is registered. Now, we'll speak about trademarks, like when you see the circle with the TM in it, or the circle with the R in it, or the circle with the C in it. That's beside these logos or slogans or whatever the case. That's another video for another time, and we'll go into each one individually based on the knowledge that I've garnered, from doing these things. I ain't gonna say really mistakes I made. I'm gonna say the lessons I learned in the process of doing them. So just stay tuned and, stay plugged into the channel. Keep hitting that subscribe and that like video, comment if it's something that you want to hear about that you just heard me speak about today, and we'll go further on it. Or if you have knowledge on anything that I've spoke about in this particular video and you want to expound on it and maybe enlighten me. Because the thing is here, this channel, like I said, is about being informative. Sharing the information I've gathered and pulling in information that's helpful as well. I'm not the whiz here. I'm not the smartest guy in the room. Although I sound like it. But no, seriously, if you're in a room and you're the smartest guy in the room, you're truly in the wrong room. You need to be in a room where you're allowed to constantly grow. If you're in a room and you're at the top floor, you're in the wrong building. You understand what I'm saying? You need to be in a building where there's another elevator to take you to another set of floors. And then another elevator to take you to another set of floors. It shouldn't be no cap on how far you're trying to go in terms of gathering knowledge and acquiring knowledge. And with that being said, I know this video was kind of all over the place, but I think that you guys get the gist of what I'm saying. All of these different subjects that I brought up today will be individual videos in the future going forward, right? So it's important that we understand to stay focused on staying focused. Not a riddle. The goal is to stay focused on staying focused. You follow me? Men and women alike, people, were born with unlimited capacity for progress mentally. Meaning, I'm going to say this one more time. Men, women, however, was born with unlimited capacity for progress mentally. Meaning, there's no limit to what you can learn. You got 3 parts of the brain: the knower, the thinker, the basement. Again, this is my theory. The stuff that's not really important, maybe not frivolous, but just not as important as some other things, but could possibly be used at a later time, you put them in the basement. But the catch is to make sure that your basement is organized, right? Things that you think about, things that you put energy into on a daily, or things that are considered essentially vital to you. They go into the thinker because you're processing how to approach them, how to deal with them, or how to handle certain situations, right? And the knower are things that you just know. Being respectful, being mannerable, being honorable, being prioritized. Things that you just know go into the knower. So then we've covered the 3 parts of the brain: the knower, the thinker, the basement. And these are also other things that we'll talk about later on. But keep your basement organized. So the things that you think about don't overflow into your basement and become bullshit. Follow me? Now, your basement, thinker, and knower are all discombobulated because you now don't know what to put where because something's overflowing. But that's another story for another time. Y'all stay tuned. I'm going to keep these videos coming, like I say, once a week. And hopefully as time progresses, we'll maybe start doing 2 a week. And just kind of turn you turn you on to my life and the way I'm rocking, the way I'm moving. Outside of me just giving you visual videos like this, you know what I mean? I'm a very private guy, so I don't allow everybody into my world. And I think that, honestly, coming from the streets did that for me, because it's just so much. I'm an older guy, in a sense. So the way I grew up and the things that I learned younger are the things that I apply today and try to instill in my young G's or my younger guys. You know, when younger people are like, what up, Unc? At first, I'm like, man, I ain't your goddamn uncle. They goddamn old, but then you go to thinking about it, they coming from a place of respect with it. Like when they say, what's up, OG? I look at it completely different now. I look at it from a different vantage point. I look at it from their vantage point, because at one point I was that young guy looking up to somebody my age saying, what's up, OG? And I knew I meant it with all respect, so I have to view it in that light. They just mean it with respect. And a lot of us need to start being more open to change. Whether it's the music that's being played now, whether it's just embracing these young guys for what they do and how they move. We was once young too. So all that being said, understand that change is inevitable. It's going to happen whether we want it to or not. With that, I'm signing off. It's your boy, your folk, your cousin on your daddy's side. Mr. 63 divided by 9 times 4 divided by 2 minus 8 plus 1. And I am gone.